Passage 1: The Rise of Space Food. When people think of astronaut food, they usually imagine strawberry space ice cream. This product is often sold in museum gift shops. It looks like a silver pouch. Inside is dried up pink blocks that taste like wax strawberries and dust. Yum. While astronauts ate space ice cream in the past, their food has changed over time. What they eat today might surprise you. In the past. To tell the truth, the first astronaut food was pretty disgusting. No one knew how food would behave in space or what was safe to eat. In early missions, astronauts went into space for less than a day. Their food was shaped in squares that could be popped into their mouths. They also had toothpaste tubes filled with mushy baby food. During the Mercury program, astronauts' food often came in tubes or bite sized cubes. In later missions, astronauts tried dehydration, which means they took the water out of the food. If you've ever had beef jerky, that's beef dehydrated by heat. Raisins are another example where grapes are dried into a snack. Dehydration makes food last longer. In space, astronauts just add water and the dehydrated food becomes close to normal in taste. Another way to pull water out of food is through freeze drying. The famous space ice cream is actually freeze dried ice cream. First, a machine freezes the food, then any liquid turns into ice, which can be taken out of the food by the machine. What is left looks like a used sponge. The next improvement in space food made it tastier. Tests showed that dry food like cereal or crackers would float away in space, so astronauts brought wet pack pouches instead. They proved that normal food cooked on Earth could be brought to space as long as it had a little sauce. Since it is not dry, the food sticks to a spoon like it does on Earth. Astronauts now use wet packs in combination with dehydrated foods. Different space missions over time. So, Project Mercury used boxes and tubes and had gelatin and coated cubes. Project Gemini used aluminum packets and things like dehydrated juice. Project Apollo had wet packs and things like scrambled eggs and beef pot roast. Project Skylab had used metal cans and had things like chili, steak, and asparagus. And the space shuttle used things like plastic packets and had things like mac and cheese and chocolate cake. In the present, today there's a whole kitchen section of the space shuttle where astronauts can cook food. First, the astronauts will choose the parts of their meal from a Velcro wall. Gray wet packs and clear plastic bags with dehydrated food are attached there. They take their drink, meal, dessert, and then stick it onto their Velcro food tray to help them keep the food in one place. In space, water doesn't pour or spill, it comes out in floating bubbles, so the astronauts carefully take the plastic pouch and stick the needle from the water tank in. They press a button for hot, cold, or warm water. The water goes through the needle right into the pack. After waiting for the water to wet the food, astronauts use scissors to cut it open. Finally, they can eat the food with a spoon. Space shuttle meal of coffee and cream, rehydrated shrimp cocktail, apricots, beef and mushroom, peach yogurt, butterscotch pudding, and wet packed steak. It is safe to say that space food has improved from tasteless tube food to astronauts' favorite meals. Without farms or grocery stores in space, it's amazing what they can eat. Passage 2: The Engineers Behind Space Food. At the Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas, there's a job not too many people know about. It is called a food engineer. Food engineers are chefs and scientists who create food for space. Here, food engineers follow 3 rules to make food for astronauts. First, it needs to be healthy. Astronauts need food that will keep them clear-headed and full of energy, so food engineers study food. They learn how much energy each food will give the astronaut. They also find out how much energy each astronaut needs. Some astronauts will have different food or different amounts than other astronauts. With these details in mind, food engineers make menus to help astronauts decide which combinations of food to eat. Second, food needs to be compact. Sometimes the food are too hard to bring onto space shuttle. For example, hamburger buns are not brought on board because there's too much air in the fluffy bread. Flat tortillas are packed instead. An astronaut eats a breakfast burrito at the International Space Station. Third, food should taste good. After food is prepared and packaged, astronauts get to taste test it and fill out a survey to let food engineers know what they like. They do this by judging food on color, smell, flavor, and feel. Food engineers have an important job. Without them, astronauts would have trouble staying healthy and packing enough food for their trips. But the best part of the job for food engineers is that they get to help astronauts feel happier by reminding them of life on Earth. Eating good food is a way for astronauts to feel at home, even when in space.